Welcome back to Inside Franklin Athletics. I'm Jake Trueblood, your host as always, here with my co-host Nick Wilson. And today we have my great friend and fellow senior Carson Hunter of the boys basketball team.
Thanks for having me, guys.
How we doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. Ready to jump into questions?
Yes, sir.
So, Carson, on senior night the other night, we were up to Jennings County by quite a bit, and we were able to, have that special moment where the seniors get taken out. And Coach Moss made it a really great moment and special moment because he put your brother Grant in for you, kind of like a passing of the torch moment. So what was that moment like?
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, even the game before that, the Columbus North game, he let us play out there for a little bit together, be on the floor. That was really cool. I mean, I kind of messed it up by fouling out, but it was still a cool moment.
What's it been like having him on the team these past 2 years?
It's been fun. He's actually improved a lot. I mean, I think the coaches definitely see him stepping into not necessarily my role, but like a varsity role next year, having 2 senior guards graduating.
Yeah, definitely. And he's a different player than you. I mean, you guys look really similar, but it doesn't make you guys identical players. And he has a shot. Like, we play pickup together, and nobody can guard a shot.
He's a shooter. He's a shooter.
Definitely.
Okay. So, Wyatt Nicholson, he ended up with 23 points on 7 3-pointers. What contribution do you think that made against Shelbyville in the sectional?
It was huge. We got a lot of guys that can step up and hit threes, and it was his night. So we just want to keep getting them the rock and just letting them keep fire those threes.
Definitely. You guys have plenty of guys. We say that about our girls basketball team all the time, how just on any night one of those girls can step up. But you guys are the same way. You guys always have somebody that can just randomly have a big night. Somebody like a Ryder Street who go and hit 6 threes, Wyatt hitting 7 the other night. You guys have a ton of guys like that. What's it been like having that random contribution? Do you like that, or would you rather it be consistent, same person every time?
No, yeah, it's definitely good. Having a deep bench is definitely helpful. I mean, having a guy that could randomly step up at any point, that can be a big swing in any game.
So in these last few games, I mean, obviously this season as a whole didn't turn out the way we necessarily wanted it to, losing record, that kind of thing. It is Coach Moss's first season, so, expectations aren't too high, but it didn't turn out the way we necessarily wanted it to. But there's kind of been a shift. You can feel it in the air. The culture's kind of changed. Where do you think that turning point was?
Well, we've kind of felt it coming on all year. I mean, starting off the year, we had Tristan and Sam join, who hadn't played in a while. We had Bev, who had never played varsity before, Micah transferring in, and a lot of young guys. So it was just a mix of players that hadn't really played well together. And I think the turning point was Columbus North. We weren't really expecting to win. I mean, we were going into it. I mean, we prepared just like any other game, but I think that was kind of our breakout game, and we've been playing well ever since.
Definitely. You guys had a really good game that game. I think there were definitely flashes of how it is now before. You guys had the Warren Central game, playing Coach Moss called them a top 5 team in the state, and playing them really well up the whole game. Couldn't pull it out. It was at Warren Central, so that makes sense. And then something like the Decatur game, which was a lot earlier in the year, where you guys played them really well, and that's a really good team. But again, couldn't pull that out. So we've definitely seen flashes, but I think you guys are definitely arriving at the right time.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you think about it, the regular season doesn't matter much until you get to.
That's kind of been our focus
sectionals,
all year. Just focus, be our best team we can be by sectionals, and go from there.
Yeah, and you guys are really getting hot at the right time, especially Micah Davis, who's averaging.
Micah's been playing really well.
In the last 9 games, I believe he's averaging about 17, 18 points. I think that average might have gone up after the Jennings County game where he had 22 or 23, but he's definitely had a great stretch of games late, and I think that's somebody who was highly anticipated coming in, that homeschooled transfer that nobody really knows about and getting looked at by schools. And, starts off kind of shaky, but he came around in the end, and he's being the player that we need him to be this year, even as a sophomore.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have had so many different starting lineups throughout the year, but I feel like that's just kind of like figuring it out.
And Coach likes to talk about it. He just wants to give everyone a chance and put a bunch of mixes of guys out there and see what works. And right now, the 4-guard lineup with me, Micah, Sam, and Wyatt, he's been going with that last few games, and it's been working. So
you think he'll stick with that going into sectionals?
Probably, yeah. I think that might be the plan, but you never know. I mean, it could change with any team, any different matchup.
So looking at sectionals, we're playing a really tough Whiteland team who's, I believe they're alone standing conference champs. Really good team. Beat us earlier by, was it 12?
I don't know. I know that we, like 3 minutes left to go, we were tied up with them.
Yeah, it was a good game, but they were able to pull away in the end. What do you guys need to do differently this time around to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I think I don't know if there's anything specific. I think we all just think we've improved as a team. I mean, for example, Shelbyville, we lost to them earlier in the year, and then we went and 2 nights ago, and you saw what happened. I mean, we basically blew them out. So
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, Whiteland's definitely sleeping on you guys. I mean,
yeah.
you guys are so much better than last time you played.
Yeah.
It should be a really good game.
And we talked about how players have, really exploded, and you can rely on that. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how your guys' defense has improved, especially in that Shelbyville game. Once you guys started with that press and that trap, there wasn't stopping it.
Yeah, we started the year just doing a lot of like full court man, and towards the end of the year, coach figured out that might not be for us, and we started doing some pack line, and then also throwing in some 1-3-1, some of those defenses.
Definitely, it works well. You can tell. So obviously, it's Coach Moss's first year on the job, so it kind of stinks how it works out because you're a senior and you only get 1 year with him, and you don't necessarily get to experience the culture he wants to end up building. But how has he kind of shifted things this year?
Yeah, he's made a much more positive environment. I mean, just he likes to have good relationships off the court with his players, and that's a big thing for him. I mean, just team meals and that kind of thing. It's a completely different Coach Moss on the court and off the court.
Really?
Which is really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've seen him post on Instagram some about like coming together as a team, making a good like, I guess, chemistry. And I've really seen that through like all the social media stuff. You guys are always spending time together.
Throughout the team, we're all pretty close friends. So
Yeah. He obviously played professional basketball up in Canada. I know he had played games against G League teams before. He wasn't in the G League by any means, but how has he been able to transfer his skills to you guys? Teach that.
Well, even before he was a coach, he was a skills trainer, and I trained with him for a while. So just a lot of that aspect too, just like ball handling, shooting, that kind of stuff. He brings a lot that some other coaches may not bring.
And he brought in his whole staff. None of his staff.
Yeah, we have a completely new coaching staff this year.
None of them were here before. How have they kind of helped you guys along this year?
They basically just follow what Coach Moss does and emphasize things, and then also when he messes up, they might step up and say, "Hey, Coach, I think you should do something a little different," which is really good.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you mentioned he was a skills trainer. During practices, is it kind of like what those training
some parts. I mean, there's some days where we'll just focus on that, or maybe the first half of practice, but then it's not all that. Obviously, we do things any other team would do, just like scout and
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, going into Friday's game, it could potentially be your last game ever, being a senior. How do you have to approach that differently?
Honestly, you just got to approach it just like any other game. You don't want to approach it thinking, oh, I got to do this, or it's my last game. I got to shoot a bunch of shots or take over the game, because that could end up making it worse and making us lose.
So just treating it like any other game?
Basically. I mean, just want to enjoy the moment, but not overthink it or anything.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys did get to have that special moment during senior night, so it's good to have something like that. You personally, are there any plans to play basketball in college?
No, I think I'm just going to go to IU next year.
Awesome. Congratulations on that.
Maybe IU play with Trace.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Carson, I don't have anything else. Nick, do you have anything else?
I do not have anything else.
Thanks so much for being on the show today, and good luck on
Thanks for
Friday
having me.
sectionals.
Thank you.
Show out. Don't forget to like and subscribe.